My friends, throughout history, mankind has faced seasons of hardship and trial. Nations have endured wars, depressions, and disasters. Families have borne the weight of loss, of uncertainty, of dreams delayed. Individuals have confronted moments when the path ahead was dark, when fear whispered louder than courage, and when it seemed easier to surrender than to go on. Yet in every generation, in every land, there have been men and women who rose above those trials. They found within themselves a power greater than their circumstances, a strength greater than their fears. And that power came not from wealth, nor from privilege, nor from the fleeting applause of the crowd. It came from faith and hope. Faith and hope are not mere words. They are the very lifeblood of the human spirit. Faith is the assurance that there is meaning in the struggle, that there is a purpose beyond the pain, that there is a God who holds tomorrow in his hands. Hope is the confidence that no night lasts forever, that no storm is eternal, that beyond the darkest valley lies a brighter horizon. Together, faith and hope have carried people through challenges that seemed impossible to endure. When I look at the story of America, I see a story written in faith and hope. The pilgrims who set sail across an uncertain sea carried little more than faith that God would guide them and hope that a new land would bring freedom. The pioneers who crossed mountains and rivers with wagons and courage believed that hardship was not the end, but the beginning of something greater. The soldiers who fought on distant battlefields drew strength from faith that their cause was just and hope that future generations would live in peace. Faith and hope were not luxuries for them, they were necessities. Without them, they could not have carried on. Each of us in our own lives will face challenges. For some it may be illness. For others, it may be financial hardship, broken relationships, or the quiet struggle of loneliness. These challenges can feel overwhelming, and there will be moments when you wonder if you can endure. But it is in those moments when faith and hope shine brightest. Faith tells you that you are not alone, that there is a higher power walking with you, even when you cannot see the way. Hope tells you that tomorrow can be better, that there is a light waiting to break through the clouds, that what seems impossible today will one day be a story of triumph. I have seen men and women who had every reason to give up, yet they did not. They believed that God was not finished with them yet. They hoped for a tomorrow they could not yet see, and they lived as though that tomorrow was already on the way. That kind of faith does not make challenges vanish, but it gives you the strength to endure them. That kind of hope does not erase pain, but it gives you the courage to press on in spite of it. Faith and hope are like twin beacons on the road of life. When one grows dim, the other shines brighter. When your faith wavers, let your hope remind you that the story is not over. And when your hope feels weak, let your faith remind you that there is one who holds you steady even in the storm. Together, they lift your eyes from the problem to the promise, from despair to destiny, from defeat to victory. My friends, challenges will come. That is certain. But so too is the truth that faith and hope are greater than any challenge. Hold fast to them, and you will discover that no obstacle is insurmountable, no trial too great, no darkness too deep. For with faith and hope, you will not only overcome your challenges, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. My friends, I have often said that the greatness of America lies not in the halls of government, but in the hearts of its people. And when I think of faith and hope, I am reminded that these qualities are not found in institutions or policies, but in individuals, in you, in me, in families and communities that refuse to surrender when the going gets tough. Faith and hope are the quiet strengths that have carried ordinary people to extraordinary heights. Think of the immigrant who arrives in a new land with little more than the clothes on his back. The odds seem impossible, the language unfamiliar, the customs strange. Yet, armed with faith that God's providence has not abandoned him and hope that his children will live a better life, he works tirelessly, builds a home, and lays a foundation that generations will stand upon. His success is not measured by wealth alone, but by the spirit of perseverance that springs from faith and the determination born of hope. Or consider the farmer who plants his seed in dry soil, knowing that the rains may not come, that the harvest may fail. But he plants anyway, because faith tells him that life is sustained not by fear, but by trust, and hope reminds him that tomorrow's sky may yet bring rain. Without faith and hope, he would give up before the first seed touched the earth. With them, he becomes part of a timeless story of resilience, the story of those who endure through hardship because they believe there is meaning in their labor, and a reward beyond the horizon. Now, faith and hope are not passive. They are not idle thoughts or shallow sentiments. No, they are active forces, moving the heart to action, guiding the hand to work, urging the mind to press forward. Faith says, you can rise again, and hope says, tomorrow will be better. Together, They give us the courage to keep walking even when the path is steep and the end is hidden from view. Let me tell you something I have learned over the years. The strongest people are not those who never knew hardship, but those who met hardship with faith and overcame it with hope. A person who has never faced trial may appear strong, but their strength has never been tested. A person who has walked through the fire, who has stood in the storm, who has felt the weight of sorrow yet refused to yield, that is true strength. And at the heart of that strength lies faith in something greater and hope for something better. America herself has been tested by challenges that could have broken her. The Great Depression left millions without work, without homes, without security. Yet the people endured. They held to their faith that the nation would rise again. They clung to hope that tomorrow would bring opportunity. And it did. Out of despair came renewal, out of hardship came determination, out of trial came triumph. The story of America is proof that when people refuse to surrender their faith and refuse to abandon their hope, no darkness can overcome them. The same is true for each of us individually. You will face days when discouragement whispers that it is over, when pain tells you to give up, when doubt convinces you that you are not strong enough. In those moments, lean on faith. Let it remind you that you are never alone, that there is a God who walks with you even in the valley. And let hope lift your eyes beyond the present sorrow to the promise of tomorrow. These two, faith and hope, will sustain you when nothing else can. Now, some will say that faith and hope are naive, that they are wishful thinking illusions for the weak. But I tell you the truth, there is nothing naive about believing in something greater than yourself. There is nothing weak about choosing hope when despair seems easier. Faith requires courage. Hope demands strength. And together, they are the bedrock upon which the greatest lives, the greatest nations, and the greatest legacies are built. I recall the words of Scripture which tell us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Think of that for a moment. Faith is not blind, it is the assurance that unseen realities are still true. Hope is not empty, it is the certainty that tomorrow can be brighter than today. These are not fantasies, they are the forces that carry men and women across oceans, that lift nations from ruin, that guide the human spirit through every storm. My friends, there is no challenge you cannot overcome when faith and hope are your companions. The world may doubt you, circumstances may oppose you, your own fears may rise against you. But if faith holds your heart and hope lights your path, you will endure, and in enduring, you will triumph. The victory may not come quickly, and it may not come easily, but it will come. And when it does, you will look back and see that it was faith and hope that carried you there. So tonight I say to you, whatever mountain you face, whatever valley you walk through, do not let go of your faith and do not abandon your hope. For these are not just virtues to admire. They are weapons in the battle of life, shields against despair, lights in the darkest night. Hold them close, and you will find that no challenge is too great, no burden too heavy, no storm too fierce. With faith and hope, you are never defeated, you are never alone, and you are never without the promise of a brighter tomorrow. My friends, as we near the end of this reflection, I want to remind you that faith and hope are not meant to be locked away in the heart. They are meant to be lived out in the world. They are not silent passengers in the journey of life. They are the very companions that walk beside you, that guide your steps, that carry you when your strength fails. Faith and hope are not abstractions, not lofty ideals meant only for preachers or philosophers. They are as practical and real as the air we breathe. They shape the way we work, the way we love, the way we endure. Think for a moment of the great leaders of history, men and women who faced towering obstacles yet pressed forward. What gave them the courage to do so? It was faith, faith in the justice of their cause, faith in the God who guides history, faith in the people they served. And it was hope, hope that tomorrow could be better than today, hope that sacrifice would not be in vain, hope that even in failure, seeds of victory were being planted. Without faith and hope, their names would be forgotten. With them they left a legacy that echoes through the generations. But let us not imagine that only leaders and heroes can embody such strength. No, the truest examples of faith and hope are found in the quiet lives of ordinary people. A mother who works 2 jobs, believing her children's future will be brighter. A teacher who stands before a classroom, hoping that every lesson planted in young hearts will one day bear fruit. A soldier far from home, holding faith that his sacrifice will secure peace, and hope that he will embrace his family once more. These are the stories that truly reveal the role of faith and hope in overcoming life's challenges. Faith and hope give meaning to sacrifice. Without them, struggle feels empty, pain feels pointless, and hardship feels unbearable. But with faith, sacrifice becomes an offering, a belief that what you give up today will serve a higher purpose tomorrow. With hope, hardship becomes a stepping stone, a belief that the road may be rough, but it leads somewhere worth going. Together, they transform trials into triumphs and suffering into strength. Now, there will be times when your faith is tested, when your hope seems dim. That is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of humanity. Even the strongest among us have moments of doubt. Even the bravest of nights when fear takes hold. But what matters is not that you feel doubt. What matters is that you do not let doubt have the final word. Faith and hope do not mean the absence of questions. They mean the courage to move forward even with questions unanswered. They mean choosing to trust when you cannot see, choosing to hope when you cannot yet feel, choosing to keep going when everything in you cries out to stop. And when you live this way, when you let faith and hope guide you, something remarkable happens. You become a light for others. Your endurance inspires those who falter. Your courage strengthens those who despair. Your hope becomes contagious, lifting the spirits of those who see you walk through the storm with your head held high. Never underestimate the power of your faith and hope, not only for yourself, but for all who watch you. In standing firm, you give others the courage to stand. In pressing on, you give others the will to press on. In believing, you help others to believe. I have lived long enough to see the difference between those who surrender to despair and those who hold to hope. The ones who give up are remembered only for their failures. But those who kept faith and clung to hope, even in the darkest times, are remembered for their victories. Victories not only of circumstance, but of spirit. And that, my friends, is the truest victory of all, to come through the trial not broken, but stronger, not bitter, but wiser, not defeated, but triumphant. Our nation, too, must hold to faith and hope if we are to overcome the challenges of our time. We face divisions, uncertainties, trials that can shake the very foundations of our unity. Yet I believe with all my heart that the American spirit is strong enough to endure, because it is a spirit rooted in faith. Faith in God, faith in freedom, faith in the enduring strength of our people. And it is carried forward by hope. Hope the best days are still ahead. Hope that tomorrow can be brighter than today. Hope that our children will inherit a land of peace, prosperity, and promise. So let us go forth, each of us, with faith burning in our hearts and hope shining in our eyes. Let us face every challenge with the courage that comes from knowing we are not alone, and the conviction that tomorrow can and will be better. Let us refuse to surrender to despair, for despair has never built a nation, never healed a wound, never inspired a soul. But faith has, hope has, and they always will. My friends, life will test you. There will be valleys of shadow, nights of sorrow, storms that shake the very ground beneath your feet. But remember, this faith and hope are not fair weather friends. They are the steady companions that walk with you through every storm, that carry you through every valley, that light your path in every darkness. With them you can endure. With them you can overcome. With them you can rise from every trial stronger than before. And when the history of your life is written, may it be said that you faced your challenges not with fear, but with faith, not with despair, but with hope. And may those who come after you be inspired to do the same. For in the end, the true measure of a life well lived is not the ease of the journey, but the faith that carried you through and the hope that never let you give up. So I leave you with this: hold fast to your faith. Guard well your hope. And with them, go forth to meet the challenges of life with courage, with confidence, and with the unshakable belief that the best is yet to come.